but I have never seen anything like this. How much more are you hiding?
Hold up. Let's go.
We are home. My son, it is your time.
Show me my respect and bow down.
You get to decide what kind of king you are going to be. Don't freeze.
I never freeze.
The revolution will not be televised.
Show me my respect and bow down.
Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Elias, your host with the Lucky Dog Podcast, coming here with all the latest TV, movies, music, news, all the goods, all of it's coming at you real fast. I just have to say I apologize for coming at you so late. I have been extremely busy, somewhat overwhelmed, and I have loads of movies coming out, reviews, different things, so don't worry about that. I went and saw Black Panther. I've seen a couple of indie movies that I wanted to review, and so I wanted to be caught up on a couple of things that I missed over December and January. Specifically, movies like Three Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri, Phantom Thread, Black Panther, The Florida Project. I think I had one more I wanted to talk about as well. Let me see where my list is. I have not finished The Shape of Water yet, but I probably will by the time I record a second podcast. I'm going to try to have this in 2 different parts, maybe even 3 different parts. Just call it the big movie review of February, and we'll just jam pack it all in there, maybe as a part 1 and a part 2. So most recently I watched Black Panther. Black Panther. We'll begin with it's just gonna be full spoilers. So if you have not seen Black Panther, please tune out unless you're interested in listening to the spoilers as well. So Black Panther was created to essentially fill the gap of the need for more color and more diversity in Marvel. So, I mean, the first problem is we have 5 or 6 main leads on the Marvel team, the Avenger team. Most of them named Chris, white, straight, males. It's very generic, you know. No offense to anyone that's named Chris, white, straight, male. That fits the profile, but I mean, they are all very much alike, and so there isn't much representation from different communities, different ethnicities, different races, that type of thing. There's we have Scarlett Johansson. I think that's one of the only females I can think of off the top of my head that's within the Marvel universe that's a female, but most of them are male. So I was really interested in the Black Panther origins, and not only why it was made, but what it's bringing to the table. And so Black Panther is bringing the black community forward. And I just wanted to let everyone know I'm not black, so I can't speak for the black community, but this is what I believe it's representing, and this is of course an opinion, and if I'm wrong, please let me know at LuckyDogPodcast. I really like to have a discussion, and I really enjoy talking about this and expanding my knowledge on it. And so if I sound completely crazy, you got to let me know. So until then, I appreciate it. But anyways, Black Panther, essentially it's I would say it's an origin story of a guy named T'Challa. And T'Challa is a rising prince, soon to be king, to the throne of Wakanda. And Black Panther, the Black Panther movie is about him coming to the throne and the people around him, helping realize that. And the cool thing about Black Panther is you get two very big, not even two, you get several big perspectives from the movie. You get the African American experience, you get the American African experience, what it feels like to be from New York and go back to Africa, or to be already in the country and leave it and then return it. Just very introspectful. Let me. I would say it's hard for me to explain if you haven't left a country and come back, or if you are, if you're born in a country and you've never left, or if you're never taken out of your country, or if you were never, if you've never been in a situation like that. And so Black Panther gives you very different perspectives on not only T'Challa, played by Chadwick Boseman, which is, he's the Black Panther, and you're understanding where he's coming from, his involvement in his community of Wakanda, and Michael B. Jordan, which is who's everyone's talking about. He plays Eric Killmonger, which is the bad guy, which I could go into really deep detail about him, but overall, he essentially had some really wrongdoings happen to him as a child. He was kind of left, I believe he was left in America when he was younger by the Wakandans, and they decided not to bring him back to Wakanda, and so he grew up bitter in New York. And when he was coming back, he was upset by the people, and he wanted to reclaim the throne and overthrow Chadwick Boseman's character T'Challa. So Eric Killmonger has been notable in the Black Panther series, in the Black Panther movie, because he's been fleshed out. He's been given some backstory, and you understand where he's coming from. He has some things that happened to him when he's younger, specifically with his family, that happened to him that really flesh out who he is and kind of give you where he's coming from. It makes it much more of a humanized individual, instead of just a laughing villain, cackling villain, or something like that. But anyways, Black Panther, really great movie. The hype for it was a big thing that was coming for it, and I think it might have niched it just a little bit, because they said, "Oh, this is the Black Panther. This is everything. It's coming in. It's coming in hot. Everything's coming. It's going to be booming. It's going to be everything." And for the most part, for me personally, I didn't. I couldn't say this is the best movie I've ever seen or anything like that, or top 10 or anything like that. But I know that it hit some people in a really emotional place, especially if they were representing your culture. If you could see yourself, your family, or relate to this film and to the people in it, then it really hits you in a sentimental place. And it did get me at some points. I was feeling, I've never been to a Marvel film and actually felt a little bit of like choked up a little bit, just kind of thought I was like, wow, am I experiencing an emotion in a popcorn flick or something like that? What is going on, So you gotta really give it credit for that. I can't think of any other Marvel movie that has hit me with that kind of impact. Most Marvel movies, you you're going for the fun, you're going for the action. It's a ride, It's not anything this serious, but Michael B. Jordan's storyline is fleshed out well enough that it really gives some levity and some, or not levity. It really brings some oomph to the story. It makes it more than just a popcorn flick. And so I think that the director Ryan Coogler did a lot to bring that forward, bring Michael B. Jordan's character forward, and also T'Challa as well. Just bringing out who they are as individuals. And Ryan Coogler, he directed Creed with Michael B. Jordan and Fruitvale Station, which I'm halfway through. And Michael B. Jordan just continuously is exponentially growing on me as an actor. Him and Daniel Kaluuya as well. I'll talk about Kaluuya in here in a little bit. The Michael B. Jordan, I've watched him in The Wire. I saw him a little bit on I think he was a Disney Channel star, and I've seen him in a couple of movies when he was younger. He's really fleshed out into an amazing actor, and I hope all of these people in this movie continue to do great work, but I especially look forward to see what he's doing in the future as well, because he's phenomenal. To go along with the characters, we'll just stick with the characters real quick. Lupita Nyong'o, I know I messed that name up, and someone's gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, dude, you don't need to be saying these names." I apologize. Lupita, she's Nakia, and she's one of Black Panther's sidekicks. I mean, he seriously has like 5 or 6 badass women leading the pack of Wakanda, and they're badass. It's essentially the Wonder Woman's take of the woman warrior. Although I would say DC sexualized the women in those movies much more than Marvel is doing. These women don't seem to be sexualized at all. They all have they seem to be much more fleshed out, and they don't seem to be just there to be looked at, and they know what they're doing. They're they're there for much more than just background dressing or something like that. Let me see. Martin Freeman. He's what I've been told is he's the token white guy. He was he's Everett K. Ross from Civil War, the Captain America Civil War. I believe he was in there. It's been so long since I've seen Civil War, and to be honest, I'm sorry, I can't remember what he played in there. But apparently he was a secret agent or one of the SHIELD agents maybe or something. But he's connecting some of the outside world to the Black Panther world, because the Black Panther world generally is pretty self-contained. What they did with this movie is they pretty much created their own world, very similar. I don't know if you saw Wonder Woman. They created their own world in that movie as well. Black Panther did a phenomenal job creating a world outside. Well, not a world outside, a world within Marvel, but it still feels very isolated and not. I'd say isolated and on its own and able to stand on its own. It doesn't need any other Marvel movies to say that it exists. But Daniel Kaluuya, once again, always phenomenal. He's the star from Get Out and Black Mirror and Sicario and many other great pieces of media, and he just continues to flourish. He's gonna go far, I believe. Him and I believe it's the lady that plays Michonne, Denai Guerrera. Oh my goodness. Denai Guerrero is one of my favorite actresses. Once again, I keep saying this, all these people are my favorite actresses. These are people I just want to see in more things, and I don't get to see them ever. And these amazing actors are all together on screen, and it's a feast. It's a feast. You just, so much good acting, and so much of the movie relies on the people having a connection, and these people really do have a connection. You can tell that they work well on set. And then for just one of the last individuals that I wanted to talk about was Winston Duke. He is a M'Baku, and he is one of the challengers that tries to challenge T'Challa, Chadwick Boseman, at the beginning to take the throne. Winston Duke, apparently, this is his first role, and I am really impressed with it. I thought he captured the screen, and he seemed to be comfortable in front of the camera. Almost to the point where I found him more interesting than T'Challa, the Black Panther. Now, T'Challa, I found... Well, let me not just talk about T'Challa. Let me bring it back to Chadwick Boseman. Chadwick Boseman, I believe, is a pretty good actor. I haven't seen him in tons of things. I think I saw him in 42. But I really believed he embodied the Black Panther, just as he did in Civil War. Now, he is 41, what I've read recently. So he's got a tad bit of age on Michael B. Jordan, which kind of gives him the leg up just in the seasoning range, I guess is what I would call it. He just looks a little bit more seasoned, a little bit more, pristine or something like that, just as a quote unquote king. The only thing is, T'Challa is not the most interesting individual in this movie. The Black Panther is probably by far the least interesting, in my opinion, of the characters, because he is in a world the world is so colorful. He is the least interesting thing about it, and it's a little bit jarring given how much time and how much time and detail they put into the world. It's like they kind of forgot about T'Challa, and I'm glad I'm just now getting all this out. It's been a week since I've seen it, and so I didn't want to go into too many plot details, but just discussing it does kind of put it on the table. And I've actually went back and looked at the Civil War action. So the action in Civil War in comparison to the action in Black Panther is relatively different, but the way it's shot, it's fluent, and you can see what's going on Civil War. The Civil War is very fluent with the Black Panther scenes that he has in there, and this Black Panther movie retroactively makes that Civil War movie, I'd say, much better. It just kind of fleshes it out. But going along with the action scenes in comparison to the Civil War, I don't think the action scenes nearly lived up to the hype they were supposed to for the Black Panther. Now, specifically the Black Panther, the action scenes just kind of seemed a little bit rubbery and not quite as finished. And the problem is they're showing animals, they're showing people doing backflips, they're showing people doing crazy impossible things. Well, you've got to make it look good, because if the trailers that you're showing before the movie we're seeing look better than the movie we're seeing, there's a problem. There's a fundamental problem. And so that tells me that the theaters were probably rushed or something like that. I've heard that the graphing and trying to smooth all of the animation out, and the CGI is what I believe is called, the computer graphics. It takes a long time, and this movie probably could have used 6 more months in the computer getting ready. I had heard other podcasts. They said that's gonna age the movie, and I agree. It's hard to disagree with that. Because going in there and seeing clearly a fake rhino, or clearly him not in a suit doing flips and stuff like that, and it takes you out of the movie a little bit. Just in comparison to some other superhero films where, like Spider-Man 2, you know, they didn't have the best graphics, but I felt like I was watching some Spider-Man 2 graphics on Black Panther. Which is not good, because that was a while ago, you know. It's coming up on 20 years or something like that. Or I don't know, what was that? 2003 or 4? I don't know. It'll soon be 20 years, and I can't believe it, but it's amazing. But anyways, the Black Panther. The animation and the CGI could definitely be improved, but let me talk about the women real quick before I hop to the next challenge, or the next movie. So the women in it, Michonne and Lupita Nyong'o, they're fantastic. They're fleshed out, and they're much more interesting. T'Challa's sister, who is played by Letitia Wright, who plays Shuri. She was my favorite character. I've never enjoyed a side character as much as her. Her commentary really brought just some light and levity to the movie, because T'Challa wasn't saying anything, and I needed him to say something. He was so prestige and style that he almost didn't say anything in times where I needed him to say something. So I was a little taken back when I was walking out. I was like, Shuri is my favorite character. I don't know what y'all are talking about. And so apparently she's phenomenal. Let's just put it that way. Andy Serkis is also in this. He's the guy that plays the main apes in Planet of the Apes, the most recent ones. I've never seen this guy on screen without being covered in some sort of CGI mask or some face capturing, I believe this was called. He's like a professional face capture or something like that. He captures faces, and he does motion capture, so turns him into a monkey on screen or something like that. So I'd never seen Andy Serkis act as himself on screen knowingly. So him and Martin Freeman were pretty much the only two white guys that you could find in this. And Andy Serkis was, first of all, he's beefy. I had no idea he's jack dude, and I believe he's either Australian or English or something like that. But yeah, he's English, and he's a much bigger guy than I was expecting, and I really enjoyed his screen presence. I mean, both of these villains, I think everyone agrees that these are both pretty good villains. I had a little bit of a problem with Michael B. Jordan's I would say dialect, but I'm really not sure what the dialect was supposed to be. I'm not sure if that is even the right tone. It was just the way. After watching Fruitville Station, I saw how he was acting in that versus how the acting he was bringing into the Black Panther movie, and you could say it's somewhat. I don't know if urban is the right word. I think that's. I'm not sure. I don't mean to be derogatory if that's what that is, but he was speaking with a little bit of slang, and so occasionally they would write slang into Killmonger's character, and I thought it came off a little bit weird, and it didn't fit the tone for me, and so I think Ryan Coogler was having a little bit of trouble writing along the lines, probably trying to bring some sort of dialect, and he was fighting with the Marvel Studios, probably trying to keep it under wraps, not too much bruh kind of talk or something like that, or like that's what Michael B. Jordan was. He would say bruh a lot in Fruitvale Station, and after retroactively watching that, I felt like he was trying to bring it onto the Killmonger character, and it didn't work quite as well within the world. So if we do get Michael B. Jordan back, then I would like that to be just a little bit tidy, just a little bit more tidy, because it felt sometimes he was really speaking his mind, and other times he'd get back to the slang or something like that, and I was like, okay. So just kind of one or the other is what I'd prefer. But other than that, I thought the movie was phenomenal, just as a piece of media, and the fact that it exists is it is worth seeing in itself. You know, you're supporting something that is bringing an important message that should be said, that needs to be said and should have been said a long time ago. The music is memorable. I've listened to the soundtrack and the score several times since leaving. I thought the background was emphasized and brought to life by the music and the colors that were popping on screen. So the production value, just it was there. It was all over the screen. It looked like it cost $1 million bajillion. I was just like, oh my goodness. But I really like the themes that Ryan Coogler hit with the James Bond-ish tech versus the kind of Game of Thrones-ian family dynamics, and it was a little bit of both, plus sci-fi, so plus an African country or nation that doesn't exist, but it's something unique and different that you've never seen before, and I think you should absolutely go see this. I can't really think of anything else to bring to it that I want to spoil or anything like that. There's a couple of great actions, you know. I think that's about it. We'll call it a night. All right, everybody. Bye.
You will not be able to stay home, brother. You will not be able to plug in, turn on, and cop out.
Wakanda forever!
The revolution will not be televised.
Let's have some fun.
The revolution will be live.